Hi Reese, we got another mini episode finally. I made you make me do another mini episode because I've been really sitting on my arse about them
Yeah,
lately.
yeah. You
Uh,
you were like, make me do it, and I was like, okay, do it. And you were just like, thank you for making me do it. I love getting credit for stuff that like I do absolutely nothing on. So yeah, I let's do more and
yeah,
give me credit for them. Hi
for
Tom,
sure.
how's it doing? How's it going? I'm excited for another little episode here.
Yeah,
I know nothing about this. Other than sort of like very broad strokes. But that
yeah,
last one was a jam. I was bopping.
yeah. We were mini episode number 8, and we're talking about Clustertruck. Yeah, I put this playlist together probably about 2.5 years ago when I played this game, and then it just sort of sat on the back burner forever and ever. But it's just like a first person like puzzle platformer, and sort of like a it's really hard to describe because it's like very short, like little discrete levels where the idea is you're trying to jump between trucks, to get from the start to a finish line, and you sort of have the freedom to do it however you like. You just have to do it by constantly staying in the air and only touching trucks. So if you touch the ground, you die. If you touch basically anything that isn't a truck, you're dead. So it's like it's sort of, yeah, again, sort of like the sort of puzzle platformer, physics platformer. You as you go through the game, you get like power ups and stuff like that. But it's a big sort of, it was a big streamer game, I think, at the time. You
Yeah,
mentioned sort of your main experience with it is watching streams. I remember watching people play it on one of the AGDQs or SDGQs, and just being like, oh, this looks really fun because I'm the kind of sicko that loves first person platforming. We probably talked about it during the Paradise Killer episode, but like just the taking stuff that has like Quake movement and just putting that into a game that is not Quake is very interesting to me. And this sort of has it too. It's maybe not quite as twitchy as something like a Quake, but it definitely has. Like you have to be really on the button, especially for like the later stages, to sort of get through the lasers and the mines and the rockets that are firing at
yeah.
you. Because there's not just trucks; there's all sorts of different lasers. Yeah,
I
it's
remember. I
oh, go on,
remember.
yeah.
I think I'm not sure if it was games done quick, but they had some kind of like the developers were aware that the fundraiser was going on and were like throwing up text on the streamer's screen and like doing like minor things to disrupt the runs. I think that was Cluster Truck. And
Yeah,
that
that's a
was
thing that, yeah.
incredibly charming. Cluster Truck because it is such a kind of like small, undemanding game, despite being kind of like frenetic
Mm,
jumping and fun that it's the sort of thing that it had its time in the sun as when you would queue up for Heroes of the Storm and it would take 7 minutes to get a proper ranked game together. People would be just they'd switch to Cluster Truck and kind of like progress on the levels through that. So
yeah.
that's kind of where I saw it the most, and it was the sort of thing where I was like, "Oh, this is very charming. I should play it." But I never got around to it, and
Mm,
I'm glad that we got around to the soundtrack because in watching it as a streamer game, usually they had the other stuff going on, so
yeah.
I never appreciated the soundtrack, which fucking bangs.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Um, yeah, it's yeah, I do like this style of thing, like whether it's a first person or not. It's just like you have a very simple task. You can just get to a goal, and sort of it gives you a more or less free form way to do it. But most importantly, failure is not like annoying, you die, you just start again instantly. Like there's no loading screens, there's no like stupid animations that you have to watch every time you die. You just die, you're instantly back to the start of the level. I don't know if there's checkpoints. Maybe there are checkpoints. I don't recall, but like you just go back to the last point at which you could start, and then you just go from there. And like it just allows that really sort of like fast iteration to sort of
Mhm.
figure out your way through, especially the trickier levels. Like figuring out the like optimal paths, and there's a lot of like shortcuts and sequence breaks you can do as well if you're clever about how you use the physics. So it's very
Yeah,
the thing that it reminds me the most of is actually Super Meat Boy.
I was just
Um,
about to bring up Super Meat Boy. Is that I was gonna that instant restart pacing? I always
hmm,
think of as a Super Meat Boy vibe.
yeah.
Alike.
I
Um,
think like Celeste does that as well. If you,
sure, sure.
yeah, like a lot of these sort of precision platformers were very sort of heavily based on just being able to instantly restart as soon as you die, just so that you could sort of work on your mistakes and sort of just get through it. Like, and that's a cool little design philosophy to and it's always fun in a game. And sort of having that attached to like first person controls is tricky because first person is it can be difficult to platform in at the best of times. You don't always know where like your quote unquote feet are in certain spaces. So like there are times playing this where I was like, oh, I definitely was on that truck, but I obviously the game thought had hit the ground, which is a bit of a nuisance. But like,
Yeah.
it is one of those things you do get used to, and like that, if you do fuck up or whatever, like it's an instant restart. You just get back straight back to doing it, and that sort of helps the addictiveness of it as well, where you're
Mhm.
just like, okay, I'll just do one more try and get to do it, and then suddenly you've done 10 more and you're still just sitting there trying.
Yeah, yeah. Unlike Super Meat Boy, I think too, part of the appeal really seems to be is it's the name, as the name would imply. It's very chaotic. And
Hmm.
there's like you said, not just one path, but sort of like you can plan stuff out, or you can just kind of like if you just keep throwing yourself against the level, it seems like eventually you can just kind of like squeak your way through, just kind of like
Yeah,
scrambling through different trucks and stuff.
yeah,
And I think that really appeals to it because something like Celeste or Super Meat Boy requires immense uh, precision very early
mm.
on, especially Celeste. Celeste, as I would like to go back to Celeste one day, but I was like, damn, I feel like I'm so early in Celeste and the things they're asking me to do. Also, I was doing the strawberries, so maybe that was part of it.
Okay.
But where it was crazy. But Clustertruck, it just seems sort of like, yeah, just jam on through.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's just, you're just jumping bit from trucks to trucks, and you just got to do it as quickly as possible. Like a lot of this is just sort of down to getting as much momentum as you possibly can. Um, because like once you start to lose momentum, I think that's where the game really um, it can really start to get tricky because it asks you to do a lot of like big jumps and stuff like that. So it's like you really need to have a lot of momentum. One thing I do love as well is just like all the different biomes in the game. Like it might like it may as well just be like a wireframe for the entire game, but they put in the effort to like have all these little biomes and stuff like that through the game. So you start off in a desert and then you're on like plains, and then towards the end you're on like this sort of weird blasted techno um world with lasers and missiles and stuff blasting. It's like again, they could get away with not doing that and just have this be like a weird a wireframe, but they put in the effort to do it, and it's cool. Um, yeah, it's just a fun little game. There's not a lot to it sort of mechanically, but just one of those things where like the more you get used to the physics and get used to all the little tricks you can do, there's a lot of subtlety to how you actually play it. And that's always a lot of fun in a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you? I was looking at the composer, Karl
Hmm.
Flodin, and I definitely recognized a lot of games. Maybe not
Yeah.
necessarily in a similar vein, but sort of like of a type. Like
Yeah.
Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, Stick Fight the game. Uh, is it's really got, I think, a type, and just this kind of like fun frenetic vibe.
Mm.
And having played both Totally Accurate Battle Simulator and Stick Fight the game, sort of like, I think it's a perfect composer for this. It's just
Yeah.
like somebody who can generate, really really banging tracks, just
Yeah.
fit with not a lot necessarily to hang it around on. They're just like, yeah, this bunch of stick figures are hitting each other. It's all involved with the gameplay, but the music fits that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's all credit to Carl Flodin, K Flow.
I do think that all of these games are by the same are all the same company. So I'm not sure if he's
Hmm.
like a freelancer or because these are all Landfall Games is the name of the developer. So
Yeah.
again, I'm not too sure, but they have some very cool games. Like Totally Accurate Battle Simulator is probably their best known game, um, which is just one of those things that when I or no Peak actually they did Peak
Yeah,
right.
but he didn't work on Peak, it seems like. I
Okay,
don't see him in the
interesting.
credits for Peak, but that
No.
is the Landfall
Yeah,
game.
who was Alton has have who's been playing that a lot recently?
Yeah, definitely Alt Night. We played it for a while in another gaming group I was in. It's
Yeah,
very easy, friend slop, as they call it.
friends. All right, fair enough. But yeah, no, it's they seem like a pretty cool company. They're based in Sweden. There's a sort of there's a bit of a game dev like quite a bit of a game dev company or a community in Sweden, um, which like
Mhm.
they're kind of proud of it. I went to Sweden with my wife a couple of years ago, and we ended up going to like this museum, and they had as part of it they had like a whole display about like retro games, but also like game development in Sweden, and I just didn't realize at the time how many like quite well known development houses based in Sweden.
Oh yeah,
And it was just like, oh wow, there's like it is a whole thing over there, which is pretty cool.
yeah. Mojang, Paradox are, I think, the biggest ones that
Yeah,
come to mind.
Dice.
Yeah. Oh, Dice, of course.
Yeah,
Is Notch Swedish? Yes, he is.
I'd imagine he
Uh,
is. Yeah.
well, can't win them all.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the soundtrack is very cool. I haven't listened to any of the other soundtracks that this guy's done, but at some point I will have to check them out. I played a little bit of Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, but I do not recall a lot about the soundtrack. But it seems like a game that I probably wouldn't have had the sound on for, so
Yeah, yeah.
um, or that like I would have been playing with people and not paying attention to the music and just doing some nonsense in chat. Um, so yeah, yeah. So we'll jump into the one and only block of tracks that we've got. So let me pull up my notes here. We have Wayward Woods, Wheelie Winterland, Crystal Mines, Cogworld, and Final Truckdown.
Final Truckdown is such a good name for a track. The final Truckdown is absolutely what we will be calling the last day of the United States of America's life. The final showdown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's
incredible. Great tracks all.
yeah, really, really solid. Like again, just when I was playing this, I was like, Jesus, this soundtrack is great, and it's just, it really fits the mood. You're just like, there's it's just that everything is constantly moving. There's no like slow down, nothing slowing down or whatever. Like, so you just have these really good propulsive tracks that are sort of just helping you get through the levels. Yeah, it is a fun soundtrack for a fun game. I'm not, again, quite small. There's not a lot to say about it, unfortunately. I don't think, but like, if you're able to play it, try it out. You probably have it on a bundle. Like, um,
Yeah, I 10,000% just searched it on Steam to see how much it costs, and I was like, oh, I already own this. I've
yeah,
I've owned it for 7 years.
yeah. Yeah, and really, really worth checking out if you have it. If you just like a nice, I wouldn't say relaxing, but just like a good engaging, an engaging game that doesn't ask too much from you, sort of mentally. But like, it will test your reflexes quite a bit. Like, and there is a bit to it in that. But like, it's a really fun game.
I think relaxing, like it's not like cozy game relaxing, but I think there's
Yeah.
something to the fact that there's no like extra shit on top of it. It's something you can just play.
Hmm.
The levels are such discrete little things you can do with. I think that is. I find playing those kind of games relaxing
Mm.
whenever it doesn't like
Yeah.
bloat into like a 1,000,000 hour thing.
Yeah,
I'm
you
always
don't have to
so
learn a bunch of
appreciative.
mechanics or like, yeah. um, yeah. Oh, here's our crafting system that you now have to spend the next 6 hours getting intimately familiar with before you can progress the game.
I am, and listen, I'm loving it. I love my favorite series. I'm playing Resident Evil 7 right now, and I'm going through all of the season pass stuff
Oh
I
yeah.
never played. And like I love it, but at the same time too, occasionally I step back and I'm just like, damn, I'm shoveling
Sometimes
some
you just
horse
want to
manure
press
in here.
buttons and have the game respond to the button you pressed in a satisfying way.
Yeah,
And like, as much as I enjoy stuff like Resident Evil, they don't always offer that to you.
no.
um, whereas like, something like Clustertruck, it isn't. There's sort of like an instant feedback to everything you're doing, and that is enjoyable. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's a
Yeah.
mini-sode to.
That is a mini-sode, yeah. We'll try and do another one. I have several playlists already done for future ones. I just need to get off my arse and actually do them. So yeah,
Yeah,
we've just got
yell
this.
at Tom to do the mini-sodes.
Yeah. I have a couple of playlists for like bonus episodes again that I just need to edit them together, but they're just, yeah, for now they're just sitting there. Yeah, so last track is just called Santa's Little Truckers. Thank you for joining me again, Reese. Thank you everyone for listening. Have a good
Yeah,
one.
thank you, Tom. Really appreciate all your hard work as always. And if you want to check me out online, I'm at obamafoundation.bsky.social. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.